So far, this year has been a strong year, but as Q4 wraps up, I decided instead of reviewing all the mid coming out, let's look back at one of the best movies of the year, Too Soon Forgotten. Becoming Guinea Fowl, released in 2024 internationally, but came to the States in 2025. This movie is a one of one and an instant classic in cinema, in my opinion. Let's revel in hearing the Guinea Fowl song. All right, so let's kick it off with the story. Becoming a Guinea Fowl is a Zambian drama that follows a young woman who returns home for a family funeral and uncovers long hidden truths about abuse within her community. The story uses the metaphor of a guinea fowl, a bird known for sounding alarms, to highlight how silence around trauma is passed down through generations. The film ultimately challenges the viewers to break cycles of secrecy and speak out about the harm in order to heal. And this story, let me tell you, is a refreshing tale that keeps you guessing about how things will resolve while slowly revealing back the layers of culture and politics in this part of the world. I feel like it was a succinct story. Every scene built upon the prior scene that you saw, and all the tension was earned and the depth of the characters. I really enjoyed how when you thought you were leaving one character, it would take you back to that character. So it really left no loops. So as we transition from the story, looking at the acting was stellar in this movie. It used local actors, and you could tell that they were expertly casted and coached. And you all know from listening to me, when looking at actors, I feel like how they look, the phenotypic features of actors, actually plays a lot to the particular roles that they are given. And in this role, they're expertly chosen. And I think it also made up for some new actors who might not have been classically trained for a movie. So they casted them so well they were able to play in roles they were comfortable in. I mean, you can almost guess what these characters' direction would be just based off of how they were dressed and how they looked, and it did not disappoint. The aunties were incredible. The way they engaged with the daughter showed that tension that we all feel with our loved ones. We felt the love, but we also felt their personality, their trauma, their background also influencing some of the ways that they interacted with their niece. I thought it was incredible when they showed the dynamics just between the sisters themselves, and each one brought their own personality to the role. And I think they did a great job with what they were given, and the director coached them up as much as she could. There are moments when the acting where we could feel the humor. They're truly funny moments that will make you chuckle, which is important with something that deals with such a serious topic as this. It allows for us to kind of flow and not just dwell in just the sadness and the tension that's going on. You also can pull up for some air and you get some humor, but don't forget also the emotions and seriousness, which continue to elevate by the acting, and no scene felt longer than it should have or was understated. I really liked the introduction of the young lady and how we were able to bounce off her character and how she's dealing with this trauma against some of the other women who we learn at different moments of the movie had also dealt with in the same way. And this also leads to the acting that each line given was used to forward the story and add depth to the character. So acting was stellar. Great, great, great. All right, let's hop into the visuals. The visuals also were strong. I felt the cinematography was innovative. It lent itself to the landscape, the dirt roads, the bouncing, the sounds of the car engine, a lot of background noise that wasn't too loud that it took away from the scene, but it actually added to the environment of the film, providing shots that actually evoked emotion based on the scene, and in creating a background, elevating the background noises to kind of make you feel like you're out at night. You hear the grasshoppers, you hear the party music in the background, you hear background conversations, you hear gas engines revving up. It really adds to the emotion and puts you into the mind of the main character. But it was perfectly balanced. with the visuals. So this movie, I think, is probably the strongest area of the film for me with the visuals, because you truly feel as though you were transported to Zambia, and immediately you'll feel the vibrant nature and range of the personalities that our main character is dealing with. And what was really interesting about all the strong characters that she was experiencing was that she was rather stoic throughout, and we started to believe that was just her personality. And there were moments where she did come out of it, but what it allowed for her to be was more of a sounding board. And if you go look through the movie, watch the movie, you'll notice shots where she's kind of representing, I guess, a soundboard for a lot of personalities that are bouncing off her. She's not going to give much back intentionally, and what that does is it also provides for an interesting visual of you seeing someone staring, deadpanning at someone who's very emotive and expressive in their movements. There were simple moments in this movie that were elevated, as you see high angles of people walking on knees, floor shots, as we peek in on private moments in the house. And really the shots themselves were telling a story, and we could see that when traumatic moments would happen, or instances that were meant to evoke thought, angles would change, and you began to appreciate the rhythm of it as the film progressed. Vibes, vibes, vibes. Okay, so every input in this movie for me was curated to immerse you in Zambian culture, and it succeeds. It does not take you from the landscape. It didn't shy from what it was culturally and the subject matter for which it was trying to have you immerse yourself in, and I appreciated that. It didn't go out its way to give us too many American songs. There were no American songs, I don't think, but it used the soundtrack to further immerse us in the scene of which we were in. I enjoyed the mixing of local dialects with English. It took its own role with the whistles and teeth sucks. There are moments where I was watching it and I was wondering if the subtitles were off. Would I even, I probably would still understand some of the movie and what was going on, just because of the emotive action, those little drop-ins of English, and just how expressive the speech was. You could feel like that there's a greater understanding, another language that was being messaged to the screen, and that vibe I really enjoyed. Also feel like the music conveyed heavy emotion when necessary, but when it needed to lighten itself, such as during festive occasions, it also did that. But if for example, there's a scene where she's meeting with her father, and it's a very festive occasion, and they play it long enough so you can feel the rhythm, you can get the vibe of the people who are dancing and enjoying the music. But she was coming in again more silent and a stoic character, and as she entered that scene and then took another character out of that scene to discuss, the music never stopped playing in the background, reminding you of where you're still at. And also, having a heavy conversation, but again, it's in this environment. And so those vibes, really, I enjoy those kind of vibes. And having been in the nightlife and enjoyed music, it's a similar style of music out in the middle of nowhere. It really took me back to how those environments are, and I felt like the vibe of the movie was really cool. Last but not least, impact, and this one you probably already know I'm also really high on. I am not being coy when I say I think this is a one of one movie, by far the most impactful movie for films that I've seen released this year. Not only because of the seriousness of the subject, but also the boldness in telling a story true to the director, true to the landscape, and true to the culture it was portraying. I cannot overstate that this movie brings you in to its realm. It doesn't try to meet you where you are and take you in. It's like, no, you're going to experience this. We're going to drop you into this fishbowl, and you're going to experience this. You're going to learn to swim. We're going to hold your hand and walk you through. But you're in Zambia now, and I really appreciate that. And you get that feeling from the beginning. When the opening scene for this video, also in the trailer, you see how she has on the shades and this like spaceman hat, and this funky outfit, and so I like how they immediately put you in it, and you're realizing you're in a new space. We're inviting you in to learn. You sit back, be quiet, and enjoy the journey. All right, this movie is unique, and the thoughtfulness should renew your passion for this media, for this form. Movies like this are why I created this channel. And again, I'm so glad that I went back and rewatched this. Again, I was just going to keep it from movies that came out when I started this channel, but 2025 had so many good movies, and there was so much mid coming out as of late. I was like, okay, let me go back and rewatch some of those gems. And boy, am I glad I did. I think this is, I know probably won't be considered 2025 because it was just released in the US in 2025, but it came out last year in 2024. But I had to give this movie a huge shout out. It truly is one of one, and it emphasized the importance of holding spaces for all voices. And shout out to the Guinea Fowl. I gave it an 8.8 out of 10. I really want to give it a 9, but I'm gonna stick with 8.8. That was my initial score for it, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think about the review and drop a comment. Peace.
I kept everything a secret.
I saw the video.
Yeah, don't worry about it. He's dead now, so it's okay.